Alright, so I got this to work finally. So what I did was, initially I was using this SATA to IDE adapter that I ordered off of Amazon. And you would suspect that it would work fine. But I decided I was going to, on the off chance that something that was bad, because I reasoned out, this probably wasn't bad. The hard drives were good. So I was getting the EvoX logo, so that's telling me that, the mod chip was good, right? So I decided to order this this StarTech. Let me turn this camera around so that things look correctly. So I decided to order this StarTech.com, also off of Amazon. The price difference was, this was like, I don't know, 14 bucks. This was like 18 bucks. And so when I installed that, sure enough, I started booting into my dashboard. So I'm going to take you to the computer. We are going to go ahead and configure the hard drive the way that I want it to be configured, and then we'll come back, install it, boot it up, and go through everything. So,
alright, so the first thing I want to do is I want to format my hard drive as an original Xbox HDD. I'm going to go ahead and select the one that I have connected to my computer. I'm using an LBA increasing BIOS partition table. If you had a Surbios BIOS or the Titan BIOS, you could do, I'm going to use Surbios. That's what I'm going to do. So this is going to automatically partition E, C, and F. So we'll select next. In this section, you can choose a zip file that has already a pre-built dashboard and applications. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to install my own manually. So I'm going to select next, and then I'm going to select format. Alright, so that format is complete. Now I want to go in and I want to install the dashboard onto my C drive. So I'm going to select Shell Partition C, and I'm going to mount it on X, and all that means is that a window is going to pop up and it's going to show up as an X drive on your PC, but technically it's the C drive of the Xbox hard drive. So we'll go ahead and do that. We'll slide this over. So the next thing that I want to do is I want to install my dashboard. So I'm going to be using XBMC for Gamers. I think that to me that seems to be the most simple. There are a lot of folks that like Unleashed, and I've used Unleashed before, but XBMC for what I want to do, XBMC for Gamers is going to fulfill my needs. So I'm just going to open. So let me drag this window over. So I have a folder, XBMC for Gamers. I'm going to go inside there, and I'm just going to drag all of that onto my C drive. Alright, so that's done. So the next thing I want to do is I want to install my emulator. So I'm going to find that within my where I have that stored, and I don't know why I just don't put all this in one spot. But so a couple of different ways you can do the EmuStation. You can use a pre-built version, or you can build your own. Back when I did this a long time ago, I compiled it for whatever reason using all this stuff. I don't know why I did that. I cannot remember. But I'm going to go into my apps. I'm going to install this in my apps. So I'm going to drag this XBMC EmuStation into my apps. And so what this will do, under the apps section of XBMC for Gamers, it will list EmuStation as an application that I can then go into and use, and that will allow me to emulate the older systems like NES, N64, Atari 2600. They have a plethora of various systems that the Xbox will emulate. So it's amazing how much time people dedicate to these types of things, and then it's free. They just let everybody have it. So that is that. So I have my my default dashboard installed, which is XBMC for Gamers, and I've added the EmuStation app within that so that I can configure that when we boot this up. So the next thing I want to do is I'm going to close out of this. I'm going to unmount my C drive from X, and then I'm going to now mount my F drive to X. And what I'm going to now do is create a new folder, and I'm going to call it Games. And so what I'm going to now do is install my games that I have for the original Xbox onto the hard drive. So now I'm just going to highlight these games, and I'm going to drag them and drop them into that folder, and it'll take a few minutes to do this. Alright, so that looks like that completed. I'll accept Halo for some reason, and there it is. So I don't know why it doesn't want to show up sometimes. Alright, so my 4 games are in the F drive in the games folder. So now I can go ahead and close this. I can unmount the device, and then I can eject it from my PC. It's not that one, it is this one. So I'm going to eject that. Now I'm safe to remove it. So we're going to go back over to the Xbox, put it in the Xbox, and then boot up the Xbox.
Alright, so I'm just going to go ahead and plug in my hard drive to the system, and all I should have to do now is just cut the Xbox on. So notice you see the Microsoft logo, so it's going to go ahead and boot into XBMC for Gamers. And then we're going to have to add a profile to the XBMC for Gamers, and I'll show you how we do that. Alright, so I want to manage my profiles. It's wanting me to calibrate, so let's calibrate. I'm assuming this is what they want you to do. Not exactly certain on this, but we'll do it. Make sure we can see the whole thing. Alright, so that's good. So we're going to go back. Alright, so I want to add a profile. So I'm going to add a simple profile of TJ. I'm done. Select OK. Now my profile's in there. I'll go back into my profile. I'll load the profile. Alright, so if we did this correctly, I should be able to go into applications and see my EmuStation, and I do. So I'm not going to do anything with that yet, but I will show you that if I go over to games and I select that, it'll automatically scan that games folder, and notice that my games are in there. If I want to, I could at this point, I've done it before. You could just go in there and play the game, just like normal. Here, I'll give you an example. So I'll select Halo. Alright, so you can see the game loaded. We can go in and play. We can do everything. If I wanted to get out of that, let me show you what you would do. So if I wanted to reboot to get, because you kind of have to reboot it to get out of that, you left trigger, right trigger your back and back, and it'll restart the console for you. Alright, so we're back in here. We'll load our profile. So the next thing we're going to do is we are going to install our EmuStation. So we'll select EmuStation. Alright, so it says this is a pet project, don't expect something great. I think it's great, but so notice it tells you where you need to put your emulators, and as far as I can tell, all of the emulators are already in there. So every emulator that you could possibly want is already preloaded. And it says the ROMs are placed in the subdirectories inside emustation/ROMs folder. So I will show you how to get to that using FTP here in a sec. So we'll select continue, and then it gives you the exception for the Jaguar system and your images that you want to load. So we're going to calibrate. So same thing. So hit next. So that's good. Hit next. So that's good. We'll back out of that. Alright, so now this is what emustation looks like. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go back and we're going to FTP into the system and load our ROMs that we want for our older consoles. So alright, so if you want to figure out what your IP address is, because you're going to need that to FTP to the console, you just hit the you hit this key right here. If I hit that key, notice it pops up and it tells me that my network is 192.168.50.246. So that's the information I'm going to use to FTP into this console. So we'll go over to the computer and do that.
Alright, so I'm going to use FileZilla. That's the app that I prefer. So to do that, I'm going to go in here and create a new connection, just because. And it's going to ask me for the host IP. And so remember, mine was 192.168.50.246. The port for FTP is always 21, unless you're using secure FTP. The default user name and password for these Xboxes, or perhaps just the dashboard itself, is Xbox and Xbox. So once I have that information, I can just go ahead and select connect. And notice it pops up with all of these different drives. Remember, we loaded our dashboard to the C drive, and within that we loaded our emustation. So our goal now is going to be to move over our ROMs into the emustation. So remember, in the instructions when we were installing it, it told us to put our ROMs in emustation and then the ROMs folder. Now notice, for every emulator that you have, which I told you that it looks like these just come with all of the emulators that you could possibly want, it creates a corresponding ROM folder for that. So let's just say I wanted to put some NES ROMs. So I would go find my ROMs, Xbox mod. So my ROMs are in this specific folder. So I would select my NES ROMs, whichever one you want, USA, and then you would come down and let's say I wanted to do Legend of Zelda. So I'm going to do, I don't know which one of these. I'm just going to move over one. Hopefully that'll work. What about Mike Tyson's Punch-Out? Do we have that one? Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. Yeah, I'm not sure if I need both of those, or, but I'll move both of them over just to be safe. Like so. So now our ROMs are loaded into the Xbox emulator drive. So what I want to do now is get back over to the console, get into emustation, and then let's see if we could actually play these games. So let's move back over there.
Alright, so now I can just simply go into my applications. I can go into XBMC emustation, and what we have to do is we first have to scan for any games that we have on our system. So to do that, you simply go into your options. Is it this button? No, it's not that button. Maybe it's this button. Nope, it's not that button. Is it that button? No. It's not the back. It's start. Good Lord. And I go down to scanner. And then I'm going to scan all systems. So, and would you like to auto scan your ROMs? Yes, I would. And hopefully it'll find everything that we've placed in there. So it's currently extracting the NES synopsis files. And then after this, it'll even search for the original Xbox games that we loaded as well. And so that you can play both your retro games as well as your original Xbox games. But I suppose those are retro as well, but you know what I'm saying. There's retro in the sense of things that I played when I was a kid, and then there's retro to various age groups, I suppose. Alright, so it was complete, so let's see if anything shows up now. Now notice, we have our NES and it says 4 games are available, so I guess I didn't need all of those. So we have Legend of Zelda, so let's, I guess, suppose just select that. There we go. It's loaded it up. I can register my game. So we'll just do AA as you would AA. We'll select register, and now we can select that, and we're in there playing The Legend of Zelda. So we'll go get our sword. There we go. So everything's working fine. So that's it, man. That was really, you know, if I hadn't have got thrown off by this defective SATA to IDE circuit board here, if I hadn't have got thrown off by that, this really would have been an incredibly simple project. It really was as simple as replacing the capacitors to restore voltage to the CPUs so that we could we could actually cut on the device. Installing the Aladdin chip was literally 5 wires, and then you plug it in and you boot your console, and then you can put in any hard drive that you want. It really is a very simple endeavor. And so I'll put a link in the video to the ribbon cable that I used, or the IDE cable that I used, as well as a link to the StarTech COM and a link to the Aladdin chip that I used. I got them from Canada. I don't know. Somebody said that they were good, so I ordered it, and they were correct. They were quality products. So yeah. So hopefully you learned something. And now I think this is a functional Xbox. You may have to transfer over everything that you want, all your games, because the CD drive is broken. But at this point, it would probably be worth the money to now order a working drive, put it in this console, and you have a really powerful system at that point. So anyhow, hope you learned something, and I will see you in the next one.